Look, most people think they're bad with money. And, honestly, they're probably right. But here's the thing nobody actually talks about. There's a small group of people out there, quietly doing things the majority will never do. Not because they earn more, not because daddy handed them anything, but because somewhere along the way, something clicked. And if you're watching this right now, there's a real chance you're already in that group. You just haven't realized it yet. These 10 signs are about to show you exactly where you stand. Here's something most people feel but never say out loud. You're doing okay. Like, things are fine. Bills are paid. You're not broke. But there's this quiet feeling in the back of your mind. Am I actually ahead or am I just surviving? And the frustrating part is, nobody talks about this stuff openly. Your friends aren't sitting around saying, hey, my net worth is up 15% this year. Nobody does that. So you have nothing real to compare yourself to. You just guess. And most people guess wrong. Here's what I mean. The average American has less than $1,000 in savings. Less than $1,000. And yet, most people think they're doing average or below average. They're actually doing better than they think. But because they don't know the real numbers, they feel behind. They feel like everyone else has it figured out. And that feeling, that comparison anxiety, it messes with your decisions. You see someone driving a nice car and think, wow, they're winning. But here's the thing. 70% of car buyers in America are financing vehicles they genuinely cannot afford. 70%. So the person you're comparing yourself to might be completely buried in debt. Look, the problem isn't your financial situation. The problem is you're measuring yourself against a fake standard, a standard built entirely on appearances. Once you see the real numbers, you're going to feel very, very different about where you stand. My name is Ricky, and I spend way too much time thinking about money. Not in a weird way, I just find this stuff genuinely fascinating. If you want honest conversations about money, the stuff nobody taught us in school, hit subscribe and let's get into it. Okay, so here's where I need to challenge something you probably believe. Most people think being average with money means you're doing okay. Like, average sounds safe, right? Average sounds normal. But look at what actually means in America right now. Average means retiring with $50,000 saved and owing $90,000 in debt. You're starting retirement in the hole. That's not average. That's honestly terrifying. And here's the thing that really gets me. The average person spends more on subscriptions they don't use than they invest every single month. Netflix, Hulu, that gym membership from January. Sound familiar? Here's the reframe I want you to sit with. Average is not the goal. Average is actually kind of dangerous because average feels comfortable, but average leads to working until you're 67, hoping Social Security doesn't run out before you get there. Here's what most people don't realize. The people who end up financially free didn't do crazy things. They didn't pick the right stock, didn't start the next big company. They just consistently did slightly better than average. That's it. A little more saved, a little less wasted, a little more invested every single month. Slightly above average, compounded over time, is absolutely life-changing. And the signs that you're already doing this are more obvious than you think. Let's go through them. Sign number 1, you have an emergency fund. Sounds basic, right? Here's the thing. Only 39% of Americans could cover a $1,000 emergency with cash. 39%. So if you have even 1 month of expenses sitting somewhere safe, you are already ahead of the majority. Sign number 2, you are not living paycheck to paycheck. 60% of Americans are right now. 60%. If your paycheck stopped tomorrow, they'd be in serious trouble within 30 days. If you have any breathing room at all, that is not normal. That is actually rare. Sign number 3, you invest something every month. Doesn't matter if it's $50 or $500. The habit is what matters here. Only about 56% of Americans own any stock at all, and most of that group is barely paying attention to a workplace account they set up once and forgot about. The person actively, intentionally putting money to work every month, that's a small club. Okay, wait, I need to stop here for a second, because this next stat is wild. The average person who invests just $50 a month will outperform 80% of lottery players over 10 years. 80%. The boring habit beats the lucky break almost every single time. Anyway, sign number 4, you think about your net worth. Not just your income, not just your bank balance, your actual net worth. What you own minus what you owe. Most people know their salary, maybe their credit score, but net worth? That's what actually matters. And most people go their entire lives without calculating it once. Sign number 5, you've read at least one book about money. I know that sounds small, but financial literacy is shockingly rare. If you've ever sat down and intentionally learned about personal finance, you are already in a very small percentage of the population. Let me tell you about two guys, Marcus and Devin. Same age, 28 years old, same neighborhood growing up, both making around $55,000 a year. Marcus sees money as something to enjoy right now. New sneakers every release, nice apartment, eating out 5 times a week. He's not broke, but he's got maybe $300 in savings. Devin is different. Devin drives a 2014 Honda Civic. Yeah, the one with the little dent on the passenger side. He packs lunch 4 days a week, invests $400 every single month into a simple index fund. Now here's where it gets really interesting. At 28, the difference doesn't look dramatic. Honestly, Marcus looks like he's winning. Nice fits, nice car, going out every weekend. Devin looks kind of boring. But let's fast forward 20 years. Devin's $400 a month, invested consistently at an average market return of around 8%, grows to roughly $470,000 by age 48. $470,000 from $400 a month. Marcus, on the other hand, still living paycheck to paycheck at age 48, maybe earning more now, but spending more too. And this is exactly how it works in real life. The gap doesn't show up immediately. It shows up slowly, then all at once. The signs that you're above average are usually invisible to everyone around you. That's actually how you know they're working. Sign number 6, you know the difference between an asset and a liability. This sounds simple, but most people get it completely wrong. A lot of people think their car is an asset. Your car is not an asset. An asset puts money in your pocket while you sleep. Your car takes money while you sleep. Insurance, gas, maintenance, depreciation, big difference. Sign number 7, you delay gratification. And look, in a world of one-click purchases and buy now, pay later, the person who can wait, who can say not yet, is playing an entirely different game than everyone else. Okay, here's a wild one though. Most people think delaying gratification is about willpower, like you either have it or you don't. But research shows it's a learned skill. You build it like a muscle. Every small weight trains you for the bigger ones. Sign number 8, you don't spend money to impress people. Look, this one is huge. The average millionaire in America drives a used car, lives in a modest house, doesn't wear designer labels, because here's what most people don't realize. The people spending the most on looking rich are usually the furthest from actually being rich. Real wealth is quiet. Real wealth doesn't need an audience. Sign number 9, you started thinking about retirement before 40. Imagine you're about to go on a 30-year road trip. You check your gas tank, and you've got enough fuel for 2 years. That's it. That's what the average American is doing with retirement right now. The median retirement savings for Americans between 55 and 64 is $89,000 for people who are literally about to retire, and they're just hoping it works out. If you have any retirement account and you're in your 20s or 30s, you are significantly ahead of the majority. Not slightly ahead, significantly. Because compound interest doesn't care how smart you are. It only cares about one thing: time. Here's something nobody tells you. The hardest part about building wealth isn't the money. It's staying boring while everyone around you looks exciting. Your friends upgrade their cars, you don't. They post vacation pics, you're investing that money. And for 10 years, it honestly feels like you're losing, like you're missing out, like you made the wrong choice. Then one day you wake up and you realize you're free, and they're still stuck. That's the trade.
And the people who understand that early, the ones who can sit with the boring for a long time, they don't just end up a little better off, they end up in a completely different financial universe. Same income, same job, same city even. Just started earlier, stayed consistent longer. That's the whole secret. And I know it sounds too simple, but the simple stuff is almost always what works. Sign number 10. You're watching videos like this one. I know how that sounds, but I'm actually serious. The average person spends over 4 hours a day on social media, scrolling, comparing, consuming. The person actively seeking out financial education is doing something genuinely rare. Awareness is always the first step, and you're already here. That means something. Now, here's what I want you to take away from all of this. If you have even 3 of these signs,
You're ahead of 60% of Americans. 5 signs? Top 20%. All 10? You're in the top 5%. And you probably didn't even know it. Count yours, honestly. And here's the thing. Wealth isn't built in big dramatic moments. It's built in small, consistent choices made over a long period of time. The boring stuff, the invisible stuff, that's actually the stuff that works. Look, I'm not going to tell you that you've got it all figured out. Nobody does. But I do want you to walk away from this with one thing, a more accurate picture of where you actually stand. Because most people underestimate themselves financially. They compare themselves to highlight reels, to people driving cars they can't afford, to Instagram lifestyles built entirely on debt, and they feel behind, when actually they're doing better than they think. And when you feel behind, you make desperate decisions. You chase get-rich-quick stuff, take on too much risk. You give up on the boring, consistent habits that actually work. But when you realize you're ahead, when you see that your small, boring decisions actually matter, you keep going. And that's the whole game. Just keep going. If this video helped you see yourself a little more clearly, hit that subscribe button. Because that's what this channel is really about. Not overnight wealth, not complicated strategies, just honest conversations about money. The stuff nobody taught us in school. And if you know someone who needs to hear this, share it with them. You might just change how they see themselves. All right, I'll see you in the next one. Take care of yourself.